45th US president takes office.
Donald Trump is world's most powerful man.
What does this mean for the world?
Watch the biggest news story of the year
On Asia's only global news channel.
Global news coverage.
The U.S.
In Dhaka, South Hamadi.
Mandy Clark.
This is Taha Siddiqui.
This is Giles Gibson.
Watch Donald Checks In only on WION. Welcome back. You're watching our live coverage of Donald Trump's inauguration, which is just minutes away.
In fact, let's first take you live across to Washington, D.C. to see what's the latest that's happening on the ground. You see hundreds of thousands of supporters there gathered around at the area around the Capitol Hill over there, waiting for Donald Trump, the 45th U.S. president, who will be assuming office very soon. In fact, we're expecting about 10 p.m. India time. He'll be there at the inauguration ceremony, post which he will be giving a short speech. You see a lot of fanfare there. Earlier, we also saw a protest taking place close by where the police was using water cannons to disperse the protesters. But at the moment, you see a lot of fanfare, people cheering for their incoming president. In fact, we will be taking you live to that inauguration ceremony as well as speech. The custom is that at 12 noon precisely, the incoming president takes oath of office that is administered by the Chief Justice, who at this time is John Roberts. And post that, Donald Trump, the president, whoever is taking oath, delivers a speech commemorating the occasion. And as is tradition, the president and the vice president will lead a parade to the White House after the inauguration is over. Well, Donald Trump is a man that many are still trying to figure out. He's been labeled just about everything by the American media, from bully to being a racist to his sexism charges as well.
That's right, Sana. In fact, some psychologists describe him as having the classic narcissistic personality disorder. Take a look at this report.
The President of the United States is a post that has been held by people with strong personalities. Extroverts, excellent orators, people with social dominance and industriousness, from Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan to the latest president, Donald J. Trump. Psychologists have studied Donald Trump's personality through his speeches, books, and various public appearances. For the most part, they agree that Trump had a classic narcissistic personality disorder. Though, to be fair, most US presidents have had this to some degree or the other. Such a person suffers from excessive self-importance. He needs to be admired all the time, has a lack of empathy for others. Other traits include lying and being manipulative. An article published in Psychological Science Journal in 2013 warned that grandiose narcissism, while it was beneficial in persuading the public and setting agendas, could also lead to unethical behavior and impeachment. Trump's excessive need to be liked and his disregard for anyone who disagrees with him could lead to problems down the road, especially with cartoonists, comedians, and the press. His Twitter certainly tells the story of the backlash in store for anyone that calls him out. Bureau Report, WION.
All right, in fact, joining us right now is a Pakistan Bureau Chief, Taha Siddiqui, for talking to us a bit more about what the expectation is or anticipation is in Pakistan.
Indeed, Taha, give us a sense about the expectations, as it were, from where you are about the Trump presidency.
Well, basically, there's a lot of negative perception surrounding Trump's presidency in Pakistan, and a lot of negative expectation out of him, even though we've seen that recently only the Pakistan ambassador to the United States had a dinner in which Trump was part of that, and it was a foreign ambassador's dinner in the US, and where apparently what was reported in the Pakistani media was the fact that Trump will not unfriend Pakistan. That's what the sort of expectation is, that in the coming days we might see tougher days in between Pakistan and US relations, given the fact that in the Obama administration in the last days, Pakistan was under a lot of pressure from Obama to do more with regards to militancy. And we've seen that Trump in the past has tweeted against Pakistan. But there was some sort of ray of hope with regards to a conversation that happened between Trump and Nawaz Sharif, the Pakistani Prime Minister, in which the Pakistani Prime Minister's side released that statement, the Prime Minister House released that statement, in which they said that the relations between the two countries would be very friendly, and Trump praised Pakistan. But despite that, the overall expectation from the Trump presidency in Pakistan is quite negative, given the fact that Trump also is seen to be much closer to India, and in Pakistan there's this paranoia every time, especially with regards to foreign relations, of how they play in the region, and especially with regards to India and the relation that they have with India.
Right, Taha, do stay with us. We're going to come back to you in just a bit. Joining us right now live is Dr. Saish Kamuri from Nevada. He's an award-winning inventor, engineer, a highly regarded academic at the universities of Nevada and Oklahoma both. Thanks, Dr. Kamuri, for joining us. Now, Donald Trump is going to be sworn in a few minutes from now. He's promised to make marked changes to the very policies that helped enrich U.S. innovation and prowess in technology. H-1B visas to Indian students of technology. Millions of aspirational Indians are now worried. Is their anxiety or at this point justified?
The worries are justified in a sense that irrespective of where the policies land, the culture and the atmosphere here right now is very, very uncertain. And in the past several years, the economy hasn't really been growing at a fast enough pace. And as a result, several of the students who graduate here, especially those from overseas, are finding it harder and harder to find jobs. So in that context, even the talk of making things a bit difficult will have a lot of repercussions. But from a policy standpoint, I don't think there's going to be too much of a change vis-a-vis the H-1B policy, at least in the near future.
Dr. Kamuri, you're also a very senior academic both at the universities of Oklahoma and now in Nevada. Is there a fear of social change, heightened racism among your Indian and other foreign students?
Not within the students, but within the general community as such. What has happened is with the election process and the way the campaign was carried out, a lot of people are feeling emboldened to come out and speak their mind and also carry out their viewpoints, which is a radical change from where things were in the past. There are always undercurrents of racial tensions. There's nothing new. But in the past, people had the fear that if you acted out on your prejudices, you had to answer to the law. And with the way Donald Trump has carried out his campaign, a lot of people are emboldened to come out and act on this, and they believe that there's going to be no repercussions on their actions. And excuse me. And I think that is the biggest change. And the atmosphere of fear that's pervading everywhere, especially with respect to immigrants, that's going to take quite a bit of work trying to fix that problem in the coming years.
Dr. Kamuri, do stay with us. We're going to come back to you. Taha, are there similar apprehensions perhaps? Because there's a large Pakistani community that is living in the United States as of now, talking about racism and Donald Trump's statements that he made on Muslims. What is the sentiment there on the ground among the people there?
Definitely, that's one of the issues that Pakistani immigrants are facing, and I've spoken to many of them recently. Some of my people that I know, some of the friends that I know, some of the families that I spoke to about who are based in the United States. Many of them, even there was a recent case in which a family sent back. The husband is still there, but the wife and the kid have returned back to Pakistan, saying that the racism sort of has increased and they're getting racial slurs in schools. The child was being attacked, so because of which they migrated back to Pakistan. And there are many similar cases within the Pakistani American community, and they complain of that rising sort of racism in the United States and then Islamophobia, and because of which many people are actually thinking of coming back to Pakistan, or at least moving their family, their wives or their kids back to Pakistan. And I've witnessed many such cases.
Indeed. Taha, I'll ask you to stay on while I go back to Dr. Kamuri now. Dr. Kamuri, there are thousands of people protesting against, across the US, essentially against the outcome of a democratic election with a partial revote in what is the world's greatest democracy. Is that somewhat of a paradox to you?
This problem has actually started in 2000 when we had the election results between George W. Bush and Al Gore that was contested and went on for a while. And at that point in time, the general consensus was, even though the election process, many felt, was terminated by the Supreme Court, in the end, people ended up accepting George W. Bush as the legitimate president of the country. When it came to President Obama, there were a lot of people who were openly in rebellion against his presidency, and Donald Trump was one of the chief instigators of the birther movement, and they tried to delegitimize the president. And now the shoe is on the other foot, and everybody is out there trying to see, and part of the reason is, excuse me, part of the reason is they're scared. They don't know what policies Donald Trump is going to implement, and if these policies are going to take the country backward. So they're trying their level best to make their displeasure known, but I think it's going to be a passing phenomena. It's going to blow over very quickly, and people will go back and life will go on as normal.
Right.
The only issue is what policies the GOP and President Trump together will be able to implement.
Dr. Kamuri, we understand what you're saying, and those are extremely valid points at this point in time. But the fact is that despite all of what Donald Trump is, he will be taking oath in a few minutes from now as the next president of the United States. We'll try and get you more inputs. Meanwhile, these are live visuals coming to you. There you see Michelle Obama and Melania Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Melania Trump and Mrs. Karen Pence.
As well as Hillary Clinton. And I think this would be the beginning of that oath-taking ceremony. We'll try and listen into what's happening.
Janet Ryan, the Honorable Elaine L. Chao, and Mrs. Judy McCarthy.
All right. In fact, this is the official transitioning, the transfer of power with the man who is going to be the most powerful man in the world, from Barack Obama. This moves now to Donald Trump, this title of the President of the United States. You have Barack Obama along with Joe Biden, as well as the First Lady in waiting, Melania Trump, on the other side of the screen. Very soon we will be witnessing a historic moment indeed, where the Chief Justice of the US will be administering the oath of office to Donald Trump, who will then be after that oath officially be the President of the United States. Giles Gibson there joining us live from Washington, D.C. with the very latest. Giles, just a few moments now before that historic ceremony.
Yes, Anna, as you can see, I'll just sort of turn the camera around for you. There's still a huge number of people trying to get into the main area, the National Mall, which is, if I turn the camera around, is just behind me there. You might just be able to make out the top of the Washington Monument there. So people are still desperately trying to get in to see that historic moment, which, as you say, is coming up in less than an hour's time. Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 45th President of the United States.
All right, Giles, also give us a sense of what the order of the ceremony be, because we understand first it'll be the Vice President who will be taking the oath of office, followed by Donald Trump. Isn't that the way it's supposed to happen?
That's right. The Vice President will start first, then Donald Trump will come up and he'll be sworn in by one of the Chief Justices of the US. And all these people here, as you can see behind me, are trying to get in so they can see that historic moment, either in person closer up to the Capitol building, or on some of the screens that have been erected for people to watch all along that huge length of the National Mall, right in the center here in Washington, D.C. Sana, in terms of the atmosphere, I've just been at a Black Lives Matter protest, another protest with people holding up anti-Trump placards just past me along the street. So as much as I'm seeing a lot of Trump supporters wearing Make America Great Again hats, there are also a huge amount of his opponents coming into the city to make their feelings heard.
Giles, how's the security around you? Are there police personnel in large numbers where you are? Are they anticipating anything at all on the law and order front?
Yeah, you can probably remember just here, actually, helicopters are buzzing over every couple of minutes here. The security is incredibly tight. There's sort of a steel ring around Washington, D.C. All the roads into the center of town have been closed down as police try and keep a lid on the security situation, with an estimated 800,000 people coming into the center of the city to watch the proceedings.
Also, Giles, give us a bit more information as to what's happening at the inauguration ceremony, because they're not, as we've seen in the previous years, not many A-listers are going to be performing this year.
That's right, Sana. Last night we actually saw the welcome celebration party at the Lincoln Memorial. That's the big statue of Abraham Lincoln right at the end of the National Mall. And they had a band, fairly famous band called Three Doors Down, performing. But a lot of celebrities who've either been linked to the events, the celebrations, or celebrities or bands who are actually slated to perform have pulled out, as well as, of course, those over 50 Democrat Party congressmen and women who've decided that they're not going to attend to protest against what they say is an illegitimate presidency.
Right, Giles. Thank you there. Thank you for your inputs.
All right. In fact, those are live visuals coming to you there, President Barack Obama. Let's tell you what Barack Obama's role really is at this inauguration ceremony. Well, he did ride with Mr. Donald Trump. They both met first at the White House, according to reports, and they rode with their wives to the inauguration ceremony from the White House. There you see the President-elect Donald Trump arriving for his inauguration, which will be any time now.
Ladies and gentlemen, escorting the Vice President-elect, the inaugural coordinator for the joint.
Right, on that note, we're taking a very quick break. We'll be back shortly to get you the live coverage of that inauguration ceremony. Stay with us.